This is a fine Saturday to be hanging out in my closet doing a voiceover for you guys. And you'll notice I'm a little nasally. I've been under the weather, folks. I've been sick for like a week. It has not been good. Nah, I made it out. I don't get sick a lot. It's been like 5 years since I've been sick with anything, so I've been quite lucky, let me tell you. But we all can't dodge the bullet. Gotta get sick sometime. Anyway, let's talk about clay. I'm going to be making a translucent clay project for you. Those are the inks I'll be using. Also, there are 3 pieces I'm going to make from this little amount of clay that you see before you, folks. Each project actually comes out quite different because of the background clay that I use, because of not using a background clay, and yeah, so those are the 2 main reasons. But each one looks really, really different, and I'm really happy with each one of them, and it's just kind of fun. I just wanted to show you like the ability to be able to just take one simple cane and then turn it into like a bunch of different things. So you can make one project and then make a whole bunch of variety of things. So I kind of wanted to show you that. I chose my 4 colors, and then I set one of my little blocks of translucent clay off to the side. I'll be working with these 4 for now, and then I'm not going to do anything with the last solid color. I'm not going to add any ink to it, I guess I should say. With each of these colors that I've done, just going to chop them up. I chose these colors because I thought they looked really good together. Like, it was a nice variety. Like, they don't necessarily complement each other or anything like that, but they just kind of were each vibrant in their own way. So that's what I was kind of going for. Anyway, you can choose whatever colors you would like, of course. Experiment. Yours will come out different based on that. Chopped up my translucent clay without any ink in it. And I'll be using some of these makeup powders. If you have mica powders, you could use that. If you have chalk pastels, you could use that and just kind of scrape it off on there. You can use whatever you have that you usually tint your clay with. So I chopped it up once. And then I'm going to be using both of the colors I have. This is like a bronze color, and the other one is basically like a white powder. And I just chose to put the white powder on 2 and then the bronze on the other 3 because just kind of the white, how it would stand out. It wouldn't really stand out against the yellow, I don't think, nor the uncoated or uninked clay that I have. So that's the reason why I chose to use 2 different ones. I'll go back and do a nice chop again. You can chop them as small as you want. You can keep going and adding more of your powders and keep going and so on and so forth. But I didn't want to lose a whole bunch of the beautiful like little shards that you get. So I think I did it twice, and then I had my little piles after that. And then the super fun part, the best part of the video, I think, is just mixing them all together. And I could probably just do a whole video where I just mix all of it together, and it would be so much fun, I promise. And to get them to stick back together, I'm just using a little bit of bacon bond. You can use as much as you want. I didn't want it all goopy, so I like to add a little bit, stir the pot, you know what I mean, and then add a little bit more. You don't want no goopy clay. Goopy clay is not a fun day. Once you get that mixed in there, you can start using your fingers to kind of get it all blended and mixed together. And then just start pushing it together, and then you get a nice little brick. I didn't push super hard or anything like that, so I didn't want to like smush all of my little choppies. And then you can use this brick to make the 3 things that I'm going to make, or any variety of things. This is a very chop kind of a easy, probably done quite a lot in a lot of videos, but I just love experimenting with it. and playing around. So I love the colors that I chose for this. I thought they looked really good together. They're a lot of fun, I think. It's just a really fun project. I shaved off a small, thinner kind of a piece, and then I'm just going to take my fingers and kind of tap it and slowly start to stretch it out and to thin it out. That's why I didn't need a lot of this brick, because a little bit's going to go a long way. This is basically going to be like a coating or a topping on top of the other clay colors that I choose. Kind of like the icing on a cake, right? Cake, that sounds delicious. No talk about cake, no talk about food. We will not talk about food. I might need to get cake though. And then you can just keep chopping off as many as you want. I'm just going to chop off a couple more, because each time you chop into this, you're going to get a different color pattern. So you can just chop them all up and then pick the ones you like the best. I flattened those just like I did the previous one, just my fingers and pinching and pulling and taking my time. I'm going to be using a paper cutter, as I always do. Placing that on some pearl clay that I rolled out. This is like a little smidgen I have left. Like, this is all I have left of pearl clay. It's actually kind of sad. I really need to go to the store. Look, a girl's been sick, okay? I go to the store when I can. Nah, I really, really love the pearl clay, though. I think that it does so well with ink. So, like, I think it brings out so much because of it's, like, you know, being a white or a lighter colored clay. And it just allows the colors to kind of just be bright, I guess. I'm going to do the same thing kind of with a black clay, and the black shows through and it kind of just darkens all the colors. Now, it looks very, very pretty, but this is just a nice light, bright pattern color you're going to get. A lot of times when you bake up the inks, they just tend to get dark. So I love the pearl clay because I feel like it just brings out a brightness to those colors. And you're going to see this actually comes out pretty similar to what this looks like after it's baked. It turns out beautiful. It's so pretty. I can't wait for you to see it. I made some ball tools with just some toothpicks and some clay, and then I baked it in the oven. I did different sizes, and you can use whatever ball tools you have or whatever pokey things you have. I've chosen a couple of different sizes because I chose them based on the little like gems that you see there, like the green, like the size of that, or the pinks. And I'm just taking the ball tool and just kind of pushing it down in there. I'm going pretty deep because I do want that like gouge into the clay, or like that crevice, or like that canyon kind of a look. I just think this looks really, really pretty. I think it adds a lot to the piece instead of just, you know, putting clay on clay, baking it, being done. I don't know. I just thought this kind of added a really pretty dimension. And in the end, when it's baked, it's so pretty, guys. It's coming up, I promise. Just perfecting my sides because it kind of like, you know, bowed it out a little bit as I was poking my holes. And I really like the cutouts of like the center pieces of things. So like I'm just cutting out a little circle there. This is going to be a pendant, so just needed one of them. And then this was just like a makeup pencil cap. So guys, use whatever you have on hand. Don't go out and buy things if you don't have to. Just kind of be a creative little machine. Because that's what we got to do in these times. You know what I mean? We got to use what we got to use. I feel so good when I use things that I have. And I'm like, I showed you, store. I came up with this myself and I did it. And it looks just as good too. And I'm using this little clasp. It's a little leaf clasp. And I'm going to be using that for the top. Just when you poke your holes, make sure that you kind of line up where you're going to want your hanging piece to be in the clay so that you don't put the hole too close to the top or too far towards the bottom, because once you poke that hole, you've poked the hole. You know what I mean? And it'll mess everything up. So just make sure you just kind of eyeball it and get it where you want it to be, because You can't go back. You just can't. And then I realized a little goof up, and the back is kind of all dimply and gouged. So I decided to use the little bit of pearl clay I had left, and I rolled it out as thin as I could get it without it being too thin, and I'm just going to put a layer on the back. So I'm just putting the clay piece that I made, my little pendant, on top, and then attaching it to the back, and then cutting it down again to size, and then just kind of using my fingers and whatever tools I have to kind of perfect the outside, recut the hole in the center, and kind of just perfect your piece. Totally optional. You don't have to do this if the back doesn't bother you, but also it's going to kind of add a little bit more stability to your piece, so totally optional. You do what you want to do. And I just love the little domed piece in comparison to like just a flat piece, so I like to put mine on the back of spoons. I do have 4 spoons that I have designated for baking polymer clay, so this is one of them, and it gives it a nice little pop and something a little fun and different. I had some black clay that had some glitter in it, and then I had a little bit of black clay, and this is the last of my black clay, guys. I'm running out of clay over here, folks. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm making too much stuff. Anyway, I mixed that up and rolled it out. You can make yours as thin as you want. I have to kind of make mine a little bit thinner because this is the last of my clay, and I really want a black piece with my beautiful shards of color on the top. So you make yours a little thicker if you want to make it thicker. Totally up to you. I have my cutout I'm going to use. I have my little brick of clay, and I did the same thing I did to the pearl clay. So that is that piece. I will get that baked and resined and show it to you actually very soon. Again, I cut out the little holes or punched them out. And again, I decided to go ahead and put these on spoons. I wasn't going to, but I was like, you know what? It needs a little something extra. And that's what it needed. The little domed shape. And then this is all that I have left of my little brick. So I'm going to make one final piece for you folks. And I kind of like this piece. I think what I like best about it is the final piece where I put the clasp at the top and kind of how I connected it all together. I like the presentation of it. It did turn out pretty and everything. I'm not saying it didn't, but I just kind of like the presentation of how I put it all together to hang on a necklace. So just put those squares together and then, of course, roll it out. I'm not rolling it thin, and I'm actually going to take a blade and kind of push it all back together. I really need this to be a smaller piece because it's going to be really thin if I don't. And this is all I have left. So I'm just kept pushing it in and pushing it in. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to roll it out a little bit. And then I'm just going to flip it over on itself. This will give it a thicker base. So I decided to do it that way. And then again, started to kind of push it all back together so that it was a nice thick slab of clay. And then this is the pendant piece that I chose. I've actually made earrings out of this too. So you have a very versatile, cutout. You can use it for pendants, or it would actually be kind of fun to do little, like a brooch segment. I haven't done any brooches, I don't think. I did some hair pieces, like some little hair clips. Those are a lot of fun too. But I've never actually done a brooch, and I've been kind of into brooches lately. Like, they're really pretty. So, yeah, I might consider making a brooch sometime soon. I think that'd be fun. What do you think? You can let me know. Are you a brooch person? I know that's probably kind of dated, but you know what? I don't care. And then after I cut out my piece, I always take a little time to perfect it. I got my crime junkie podcast going. I'm listening, and I'm just flabbergasted at all the stuff that goes on in the world. Just shocking. And making my pieces of clay here, getting it all ready, trying to decide how I want it to lay out. And you'll see in a minute how I got it all to lay out. All the little findings and clips and clasps that I used. I really like it. Being sure to punch all my holes, and I kind of plan it out all before I bake it so that I make sure I punch my holes. It doesn't always work right because sometimes our brains just don't function. At least mine doesn't, you know what I mean? And oh my gosh, this is the first one. I love it so much. Those little green and pink little dots remind me of those cherry candy things that you get in like the fruit cakes. I don't know what they're called. Candied cherries. I don't know, but that's what they look like to me, and I want to eat this. Don't eat it. This is all about food here, guys. Everything goes back to food. Check out my Frugally Delicious channel. And then this is the other piece. You'll see it looks a lot different than the first, right? Just because I changed the black in the back, and it pulled out all of those little sparklies in there, and it made the colors kind of fade a little bit. I don't know. Like, each of these pieces are just, I think, really, really pretty in their own way. And I just love the little glitter in the black clay. It's so much fun. And this actually looks way better in person than it did in the thumbnail. I could not get it to just stop picking up all of the pink. Like, this is much lighter than the thumbnail to me. But still very pretty. It's very light. It kind of reminds me of grapefruit, like the colors in there. Like the pink, the really light pink. I love grapefruit, by the way. And a little sugar on top. So good. But I really like the presentation of this. I like how it all hangs together, and I got the little piece of the top that I took from the center, and I don't know, something about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!